This is absolutely the most incredible rescue in the history of human spaceflight. Not only did the astronaut have to fly into space in a rudimentary spacecraft, but he also had to complete a docking with the spacecraft in Mars orbit. At the same time, the eyes of the world were focused on this rescue because Jack had been stranded on Mars for a full 560 days. He looked like he had aged 10 years. Fortunately, however, his teammates did not abandon him. More than 200 days later, the spacecraft finally reached Mars orbit. If the spacecraft landed on the surface of Mars, the remaining fuel would not be enough to support everyone's return to Earth. For this reason, Jack had to personally pilot the spacecraft to Mars orbit and then dock with the spacecraft. In order to break through Mars gravity, Jack removed all the heavy windshields to minimize the weight of the spacecraft. He wrapped canvas around the hatch to reduce some wind resistance. As the spacecraft's speed increased, all the canvas shields Jack made were blown away. Not only did he have to face his own G-force, but he also had to withstand an acceleration of 100 meters per second as he sped towards space. Even if Jack's will to survive was strong, he could not withstand the speed that the human body could not possibly endure. Jack instantly lost consciousness. At this moment, no matter how the captain who was preparing to dock called Jack, there was no response. Helplessly, everyone could only wait for Jack to wake up as soon as possible. The boosters also began to separate. At this time, the spacecraft's speed reached 42 meters per second. The difficulty of docking was extremely high. Now no one knew what to do. At this moment, Jack also woke up from his unconscious state. He didn't care about the pain of having several broken ribs in his chest because the docking speed would soon cause him to crash into the spacecraft. For this reason, Jack wanted to poke a hole in his suit and then use the leaking oxygen as a thruster to abandon the spacecraft and move towards the spacecraft. However, the captain believed the risk was too great. If Jack lost control of his direction, he would drift into space and suffocate. But this was the only feasible way. In order to meet Jack more stably, the captain made a bold decision. He had the crew create a miniature bomb and blow a gap in a certain part of the spacecraft so that the internal gas would generate a reverse thrust to try to bring the spacecraft to a standstill. In this way, the relative speed between the two sides would be reduced to 12 meters per second. Although the speed had decreased, the distance between the two sides was still more than 300 meters. For this reason, the captain tied a rope and prepared to go to Jack himself. But soon the captain realized that her rope could not reach Jack's position at all. Helplessly, Jack decided to take a desperate gamble. He pierced his spacesuit with a dagger. As the gas flowed out, Jack almost lost his way. After adjusting his state, Jack began to move towards the captain like Iron Man. His speed was too fast. Jack didn't hold the captain's hand firmly and flew backwards. At this moment, everyone nervously watched them. At the critical moment, Jack touched the rope. He slowly reduced his speed. In this way, the captain and Jack slowly approached each other in the dark space. They finally successfully completed the rescue mission. At this moment, people at the base center cheered excitedly after receiving the news. More than a year later, Jack saw his compatriots alive. And this miracle of the Mars rescue will also be forever recorded in the annals of the Earth Aeronautics and Space Administration.